Wakanda Forever, an appropriate sequel that concurrently bids farewell and sets new expectations to the Black Panther series. The way it pays homage and respect to Chadwick Boseman and T'Challa is inherently perfect. However, that doesn't mean the entire movie was perfect. With an inconsistent antagonist, near underwhelming action sequences, and confusing tonal structure, this movie was adequate at best. It's not revolutionary, and neither is it horrendous. It's just okay. The main facet that makes Wakanda Forever a standout movie is grief. MCU movies hardly ever approach the subject of grief with such attention. WandaVision came close. The movie lays out the complicatedness of grief and the subtleties that it evokes. The king is gone, and with him, so much more. The funeral procession for T'Challa was well executed. It does a great job as a farewell tribute and manages to arouse emotions of anguish and celebration of the life of T'Challa and Chadwick. The end credit scenes, in addition, managed to set the stage to continue the story of T'Challa as the Black Panther whilst respecting and maintaining Chadwick's legacy within the franchise. The stunning imagery, dance, and musical numbers in the tribute sequences in Wakanda Forever will be cherished as a seemly goodbye to Chadwick Boseman. Simple, respectful, and effective. Let's talk about the rest of the movie. Wakanda is now under the leadership of Queen Ramonda and defended by the Dora Milaje. After T'Challa's death, the global community are now itching to get their hands on vibranium following T'Challa's decision to share his country's resources in the previous movie. Due to their impatience, they begin scavenging for vibranium and discover some somewhere in the middle of the ocean. We are then introduced to Namor, the leader of a vibranium-enhanced underwater nation. Similar to Wakanda, near the site vibranium is discovered in the ocean. This underwater civilization came into existence when a bizarre illness ravaged their village, and in an attempt to cure their illness, ingested a vibranium-imbued plant. This cured their illness, however, altering their DNA in the process, making them unable to live on land and therefore migrate into the sea. To prevent his nation from being discovered by the global community searching for vibranium alternatives, Namor gives Wakanda an ultimatum. Either they ally with him or be destroyed by the global community or by his nation's ultimate indignation. It's a concrete plot, much more substantial than its predecessor. While Wakanda Forever presents a solid plot, Black Panther had a superior antagonist. Although I appreciate Namor's motivations and his plight, there is a level of inconsistency in his intentions simply for the sake of conflict and to move the plot. Namor clearly states he wants to keep his people safe and his nation a secret. So then why is he declaring war on Wakanda and the global community when it not only puts his people at risk of discovery but also at lethal danger? Wakanda opened its borders to the world, not just for sharing resources, but I assume they get visitors, tourists, and whatnot. Are you telling me that when Wakanda was attacked, not one outsider filmed or shared with the rest of the world that Wakanda was being attacked by blue seamen?
It's not seaman, it's Seaman!
While Namor is rather confusing and inconsistent, I still appreciate the thematic substance his character brings to the movie. We get a parallel between Shuri and Namor in the context of legacy and inheritance. Namor bears a legacy attained by birthright as an exceptional child born to a mother who is part of the first generation of his kind. On the contrary, Shuri has leadership abruptly burdened upon her after losing brother and mother. In Namor's case, his legacy is imperative, whilst for Shuri, since it was unexpectedly assigned to her, there is the expectation of having to prove herself worthy. Thus, the movie does its absolute best to represent Shuri's journey and justify her worthiness to eventually take up the Black Panther mantle, for now at least. While the first Black Panther movie confronts the separation of Black communities beyond borders, Wakanda Forever tackles the mutual connection among the descendants of previously colonized people around the world. Shuri and Namor sooner or later realize that they are more or less similar. Their ambitions are as a result of their mother's teachings and their loss. Towards the climactic juncture, Shuri is able to appeal to Namor's longing to honor his mother and thus saving both both of their people from endless bloodshed. The action sequences were almost underwhelming. There were minor stakes. You weren't necessarily worried for the characters, to be honest. It was typical MCU superhero movie. For example, Nakia infiltrating Namor's kingdom to save Shuri was too easy. The guards on Shuri didn't put up much of a fight. They may as well have been waiting maids. Nakia kills them and escapes without batting an eye. For a nation that is similar to Wakanda with vibranium weapons, I expected it to be a bit harder for Nakia, especially since they're, in the ocean. Navigating can't be as easy as on land. The battle in the middle of the ocean and the desert were almost anticlimactic, and Namor's invasion of Wakanda was more epic than the final fight scenes. The thing about superhero movies is that they're built different. They require a certain level of energy. They're dynamic, moving from plot point to plot point like the pages in a comic book. This brings me to the tonal confusion in this movie. It wants to be a normal movie and superhero movie at the same time. The subject matter of grief requires the opposite of a superhero movie's demands. Grief entails taking time to pause, slow down, and reflect. This is where Wakanda Forever struggles. It has no idea what tone it should adapt, therefore resulting in an unseemly mess. I watched this movie twice and came to the simple conclusion that it's either overrated due to the unfortunate circumstances overshadowing it, or underrated due to vitriol surrounding female-led movies. But it's neither of those. It's not groundbreaking and it's not horrendous. It's just okay.